James Fox is a documentary filmmaker who's been covering the UFO topic for about 30 years, which is, man, that's a long time. But his latest documentary has just come out just a few days ago. And in the midst of all of this drone activity going on seemingly all over the world, well, I think it's time that we talk about the program. Now, for those of you who've been following this topic for years, kind of like I have, I think if you watch this, you'd probably be like, yeah, I know most of this. I mean, some of this is just not new information, but there's quite a few new tidbits of new information which I didn't know, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. But for everyone else, I would say that this is probably the best way for anyone who's interested in it but doesn't know where to start. This is a great way to get caught up, especially what's transpired in this whole disclosure project, I guess you could say, to try to get the government to let us know what's going on over the last 7 years or so. There was an article in the New York Times that really shook things up and got the ball rolling. And I think this movie does a really, really good job of catching you up since that point. Now, to make sure that everyone is on the same page here, UFO and UAP are two terms that are kind of used interchangeably, but they're really one is part of another. Let me explain. So the old term is UFO, and of course that means unidentified flying object. The problem with this term is that it doesn't cover everything, because there are things called USOs, which are unidentified submergible or submersible objects. So the new term covers both. It's called UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and it's a blanket term that covers everything. So anything, whether it's from the sea, whether it's flying in the air, wherever it is, it's unidentified, it's anomalous, and it's definitely a phenomena. So yeah, I think that is it really is a better term overall. Now I can understand why someone would say, why don't they just use UFO? I mean, that's the term. Because not all of them are flying. That's just the truth of it. Now back to the program. James Fox has been doing documentaries for many years, and there were two of them in particular that I've seen that I really, really enjoyed. One was called The Moment of Contact, and that came out in 2022. And then there was The Phenomenon that came out in 2020. But really, where things really got started for me, I have to give credit where credit's due, and that's with Christian Harloff. He's a YouTube channel that does mostly movie stuff, and pop culture type stuff. But he said, man, I watched this documentary over on Hulu called UFOs Investigating the Unknown, and yeah, I was like, you know what, I'm going to check this out, and it kind of blew my mind. It was pretty crazy, and I was like, wow, this is really, really interesting stuff. And then July of last year, I saw the UAP hearing in front of Congress with Ryan Graves and David Grush and David Fravor. And I watched it live and was just sitting there the whole time going, I can't believe this. I mean, seriously, it's one thing for just some random guy to say, oh yeah, they probably had these things for years and they're trying to reverse engineer them and blah, blah, blah. It's another to have multiple pilots and members of the intelligence community stand in front of Congress under oath and say that not only are these things real, but there's a whole segment of our government working outside the law, and they are studying and reverse engineering these craft piloted by non-human intelligence. I mean, that's wow. But back to the program. Sorry, I keep kind of going off on tangents, but the program is, like I said, it's a culmination of what's happened in the last 7 years. And I think it's really important, especially for people who aren't aware of all these things, to really get caught up. I think it's great. And I think this is a great way to help support James's efforts. He's been working on this topic, like I said, for a long time. And who, especially for those who don't want to, read up on this stuff every day and pay attention to all the things going on, this is a great way to get caught up. And I will say that, yeah, for me, it's important to put everything in one place. That's I think the best thing that I can say about it is that it really helps contextualize the whole thing when it's all laid out for you. Hey, this is all the things that happened, and this is why it's important. And I think he did a great job of that. So the movie's 1999 right now, which is, admittedly, kind of steep, but it's again a way to help support James's efforts. There's been a lot of talk. He's done some interviews where apparently he lost the rights to his movies and has just regained them back. So he's been in some financial troubles just to get this thing done and to get this thing out here. Now, you might say, well, I don't know who this guy is. But I'm telling you, this guy has been an integral part of the I guess the march toward disclosure, the march toward getting the government to own up to what's going on. And you might say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why is you say the government, but then Congress, why doesn't Congress know about this stuff? Well, that's the whole thing. All these basically black ops going on with this kind of thing, they're working outside Congress. They're working outside of the American people. And that's important work. So look, I think I kind of owe it to James to help with this thing. So yeah, I bought the movie and I watched it and I enjoyed it. So yeah, here we are. I will also admit that the movie is going to be available for rent on December 30th for $5.99, which is not terrible. I mean, that's the price of a normal rental. So if you want to do that, then do that. But look, I love this topic and I love thinking about it, love talking about it. So yeah, I'm really curious where you are on this topic. Like, do you think it's all, bunk? Do you think it's like, oh, I didn't know any of this stuff? Let's talk about it in the comment section. And if you've seen the program, let me know what you thought of it too. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.